Hi, genuine followers and fans. Are you feeling fine and dandy today? It's Professor Suresh, altruistically enticed me back for my 45th video in pipeline for publication on YouTube today, 15th of July 2020. Topic for discussion today is leaders are made, not born or inherited. Normally there is a myth that leaders are born or it is in the genes. I don't agree with that. Anybody can become a leader. It's not genetic or it's not a inherited quality. Okay. Most of the people agree with me nowadays. A leader is a person who rules, guides or inspires others. A leader is somebody whom people follow. A leader has authority. For people to accept a leader, his or her leadership must therefore be legitimate. Because people follow a leader, the leader can make people do things. A leader can therefore make people work together towards a common goal. An example of a leader is the head of a government of a country, like president, prime minister, people within the government follow the leader and citizens look to the head of the government for inspiration and guidance. Sometimes when the head of government lacks legitimacy, people will start following him or her. The head of the government is therefore no longer able to lead properly. This may result in a new election or in worst case civil war, military coup. A group with no leader is called leaderless. Leadership is an approach where acts by persons influence other persons in a shared direction. The leadership traits, TRAITS, are: one is cognitive, having an actively developed strong verbal, perceptual and reasoning skills which can effectively guide pivots and at the time be compatible to peer groups. Second one, self-confidence, ability to be certain about one's competencies and skills with a nurtured sense of self-esteem and self-assurance. Third one, determination, the ability to assert themselves, be proactive and have the capacity to persevere in the face of obstacles. Characteristics include initiative, persistence, dominance and drive. Fourth one, integrity, it is a quality of honesty and trustworthiness. Characteristics are loyalty, dependability and not deceptive. Most of the leaders nowadays do not have that integrity. Fifth one, sociability, it is the ability to be sensitive to others' needs and show concern for their well-being. They are people who have good interpersonal skills and create cooperative relationships, friendliness, outgoing, courteous with their followers and able to take socially responsive decisions. There are two factors in team leadership. They are interpersonal and analytical. The interpersonal factors are talk, evaluation, assisting and motivating. The analytical aspects for problem solving with the team leadership are focusing, organizing, collecting, understanding and synthesizing the material. Leadership is both a research area and a practical skill, encompassing the ability of an individual or an organization to lead or guide other individuals, teams or entire organizations. Studies of leadership have produced theories involving traits, situational interaction, function, behavior, power, vision and values, charisma and intelligence, among others. Sanskrit literature identifies 10 types of leaders. Leadership is a matter of intelligence, trustworthiness, humanness, courage and discipline. Are the present leaders trustworthy? Reliance or intelligence alone results in rebelliousness. The exercise of humanness alone results in weakness. Fixation and trust results in folly. Dependence on the strength of courage results in violence. Excessive discipline and sternness in command results in cruelty. When one has all the 5 virtues together, virtues are the good qualities as you know, each appropriate to its function, and then one can be a leader. Equipped with the new methods, leadership researchers reveal the following: individuals can and do emerge as leaders across a variety of situations and tasks. Significant relationships exist between leadership emergence and such individual traits as intelligence, adjustment, extraversion, conscientiousness, openness to experience, general self-efficacy. B.F. Skinner is a father of behavior modification and developed the concept of positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement occurs when a positive stimulus is presented in response to behavior, increasing the likelihood of that behavior in the future. Many personality characteristics were found to be reliably associated with the leadership emergence. The list includes, but is not limited to, following list is organized in alphabetical order: assertiveness, authenticity, big 5 personality factors, birth order, character, strengths, dominance, emotional intelligence, gender identity, intelligence, narcissism, self-efficacy for leadership, self-monitoring, and social motivation. Leadership emergence is the idea that people born with the specific characteristics become leaders, and those without those characteristics do not become leaders. That is not true. Anybody can become a leader. Okay. It all depends on the characters. People can cultivate good habits, good practices as they grow. For example, Mahatma Gandhi was not born as Mahatma Gandhi. He had committed a lot of sins in his younger days. Same is true about Gautama Buddha, who was a prince. He gave up all that later and became a saint. Okay, you know the whole story. Siddhartha. People like Mahatma Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, Abe, Nelson Mandela all share traits that an average person does not. This includes people who choose to participate in leadership roles as opposed to those who do not. Research indicates that up to 30% of leader emergence has a genetic basis. There is no current research indicating that there is a leadership gene. That's what I said. Instead, we inherit certain traits that may influence our decision to seek leadership. So if you want to become a leader, definitely you can do it if you work towards achieving that goal. Both anecdotal and empirical evidence support a stable relationship between specific traits and leadership behavior. So many actors have become leaders. You know that. Actors have become chief ministers, president of countries. You know all that. Okay, using a large international sample, researchers found that there are 3 factors that motivate leaders: affective identity, enjoyment of leading, non-calculative, leading earns reinforcement, and social normative, sense of obligation. The relationship between assertiveness and leadership emergence is curvilinear. Individuals who are either low in assertiveness or very high in assertiveness are less likely to be identified as leaders. Individuals who are more aware of their personality qualities, including their values and beliefs, and are less biased when processing self-relevant information, are more likely to be accepted as leaders. Those who emerge as leaders tend to be more order in strength of relationship with the leadership emergence, extroverted, conscientious, emotionally stable, and open to experience. Although these tendencies are stronger in laboratory studies or leadership groups, agreeableness, the last factor of the big 5 personality traits, does not seem to play any meaningful role in leadership emergence. Those born first in their families and only children are hypothesized to be more driven to seek leadership and control in social settings. Middle-born children tend to accept follower roles in groups. These theories are not correct. There are always exceptions, you cannot generalize. And later born are thought to be rebellious and creative. They are trying to generalize everything. I don't agree with that. Individuals with dominant personalities, they describe themselves as high in the order, desire to control their environment and influence other people, and are likely to express their opinions in a forceful way, are more likely to act as leaders in small group situations. Individuals with high emotional intelligence have increased ability to understand and relate to people. They have skills in communicating and decoding emotions, and they deal with others wisely and effectively. Such people communicate their ideas in more robust ways, are better able to read the politics of a situation, are less likely to lose control of the emotions, are less likely to be inappropriately angry or critical, and in consequence are more likely to emerge as leaders. I would say alpha, people that have that alpha character will be good leaders. They like to lead. Alpha person. Okay, individuals with higher intelligence exhibit superior judgment, higher verbal skills, both written and oral, quicker learning and acquisition of knowledge, and are more likely to emerge as leaders. High self-monitors are more likely to emerge as the leader of a group than are low self-monitors, since they are more concerned with the status enhancement and are more likely to adapt their actions to fit the demands of the situation. Individuals who are both success-oriented and affiliation-oriented, as assessed by projective measures, are more active in group problem-solving settings and are more likely to be elected to positions of leadership in such groups. A leadership style is a leader's style of providing direction, implementing plans, and motivating people. It is a result of the philosophy, personality, and experience of the leader. Leadership styles are autocratic or authoritarian, participative or democratic, laissez-faire or free rein, task-oriented and relationship-oriented, paternalism. Another factor that co-varies with the leadership style is whether the person is male or female. There is a saying that there is a glass ceiling for females. However good they are, it is very tough to reach the highest position in an organization, in a country. But that is no longer true. Even females are prime ministers and all that. Some of those leaders are very tough also. Even though we have people like that in India, when men and women come together in groups, they tend to adopt different leadership styles. Generally, they say females are more empathetic and males are more for rules and regulations and all that. Very strict about all that. Men generally assume a genetic leadership style. They are task oriented, active, decision focused, independent, and goal oriented. Women, on the other hand, are generally more communal when they assume a leadership position. They try to be helpful, that's what I say. They are very empathetic. They put themselves in the other shoes to understand the problems. Okay, they try to be helpful, but you cannot generalize. There are always exceptions. They try to be helpful towards others, warm in relation to others, understanding and mindful of others' feelings. In general, when women are asked to describe themselves to others in newly formed groups, they emphasize their open, fair, responsible, and pleasant communal qualities. They give advice, offer assurances, and manage conflicts in an attempt to maintain positive relationships among group members. Women connect more positively to group members by smiling. Some females never smile. Maintaining eye contact and respond tactfully to others' comments. Men conversely describe themselves as influential, powerful, and proficient at the task that needs to be done. They tend to place more focus on initiating structure within the group, setting standards and objectives, that's what I said, identifying roles, defining responsibilities and standard operating procedures, proposing solutions to problems, monitoring compliance with the procedures, and finally emphasizing the need for productivity and efficiency in the work that needs to be done. It's not the efficiency that counts, it's the efficacy actually, how effective it is. As leaders, men are primarily task oriented, but women tend to be both task and relationship oriented. However, it is important to note that these sex differences, gender differences, I wouldn't say sex, nowadays people know only one meaning for sex. I'll say gender. Gender differences are only tendencies and do not manifest themselves within men and women across all groups and situations. Meta-analysis show that people associate masculinity and agency more strongly with leadership than femininity and communion. Such stereotypes may have an effect on leadership evaluations of men and women. Self-leadership is a process that occurs within an individual rather than an external act. It is an expression of who we are as people. Self-leadership is having a developed sense of who you are, what you can achieve, what are your goals, coupled with the ability to affect your emotions, behaviors, and communications. At the center of leadership is a person who is motivated to make the difference, like the center of attraction, like the magnet. They are called as charismatic leaders. They attract the people even though they don't have any official powers. Self-leadership is a way toward more effectively leading other people, like Mahatma Gandhi. The task of the leader is to get his people from where they are to where they are not be. People listened to Mahatma Gandhi. They loved him so much. Even when there were clashes between Hindus and Muslims, only Gandhi could put a stop because of the love that people had for Mahatma Gandhi. Principal role of leaders: negotiator, coach and motivator, team builder, friend, advisor, guide, mentor. Personal traits of a leader: assertiveness, warmth, high tolerance for frustration, charisma, inspirational, role model behavior. How many leaders are good role models? Responsibility, review and follow up, adaptability, performance orientation, skill development, risk taking, flexibility, generous, forgiving, rational. How many leaders are rational also? They don't even have humanitarian tendency. Interpersonal skills of a leader: empathy, listening skills, insight into people, diplomacy and tact, patience towards people, concern for welfare of people. Do they really have concern for welfare of people nowadays? They are only concerned for money. They are concerned about how much money they can make. That's why they enter into politics and all that. Emotional security, service oriented people. Nowadays we don't get to see service oriented leaders. Non-competitiveness with group members, enthusiasm for people, satisfaction in helping others grow, interest in the development of group members, high expectations for each group member, ability to give authentic feedback, interest in people's potential, honesty and integrity, friendliness. Leadership is a process in which a leader attempts to influence his or her followers to establish and accomplish goal or goals. In order to accomplish the goal, the leader exercises his or her power to influence the people. One should only influence, not command or dictate. That never works. Believe in motivation. Induce the people to do the work. Okay. When the people have that inner drive, definitely anybody will do a much better work. That power is exercised in early stages by motivating followers to get the job done, and in later stages by rewarding or punishing those who do or do not perform to the level of expectation. Leadership is a continuous process with the accomplishment of one goal becoming the beginning of a new goal. The proper reward by the leader is of utmost importance in order to continually motivate followers in the process. Motivation is very essential for anything to work. A strong visionary leader, but some people say motivation is like a carrot on a stick to the donkey. You know that story? You know, if you tie donkeys like carrots. Okay, you see to that the donkey sees the carrot dangling in front of its head, but since it is tied to the stick, which is in turn attached to the tail of the donkey, it can never reach the carrot, but it will keep on running very fast, thinking that at some point of time it will be able to eat the carrot. That never happens. A strong visionary leader presents and convinces followers that a new course of action is needed for the survival and prosperity of the group in the future. Once a goal is set, the leader assumes the role of ensuring successful accomplishment of the goal. Another vital role of leadership is to present the group, organization and link it to the external world in order to obtain vital resources to carry out its mission. When necessary, leadership has to defend the organization's integrity. Early students of leadership examine great leaders throughout history, attempting to find traits that they shared. Among personality traits that they found were determination, emotional stability, diplomacy, self-confidence, personal integrity, originality, and creativity. Intellectual abilities included judgmental ability, knowledge, and verbal communication ability. In addition, physical traits cannot be ignored, such as age, height, weight, and physical attractiveness. It is not only inborn personality traits that are important, but also styles and behavior that a person learns. Strong autocratic leaders set their goals without considering the opinions of their followers, and then command their followers to execute their assigned tasks without a question. Consultative leaders solicit the opinions and ideas of their followers in the goal setting process, but ultimately determine important goals and task assignments on their own. Democratic. Okay. Democratic or participative leaders participate equally in the process with the followers and let the group make the decisions. Team player. Okay. Democratic leaders will be team player. Extremely laid back leaders, so-called laissez-faire leaders, let the group take whatever action its members feel is necessary. That means the person doesn't need to deserve to be a leader. If they are letting the members decide everything, don't they have a brain of their own? The job-centered leader closely supervises subordinates to make sure they perform their tasks following the specified procedures. This type of leader relies on reward, punishment, and legitimate power to influence the behavior of followers. The employee-centered leader believes that creating a supportive work environment ultimately is a road to superior organizational performance. The employee-centered leader shows great concern about the employee's emotional well-being, personal growth and development, and achievement. The leadership style of initiating structure is similar to the job-oriented leadership style, whereas consideration is similar to the employee-centered leadership style. It was the initial expectation of both research groups that the leader who could demonstrate both high initiating structure, job-centered, and high consideration, employee-centered, would be successful and effective in all circumstances. Hybrid leader. A favorable situation exists when the relationship between the leader and followers is good, that tasks are well defined, and the leader has strong power. When the opposite is true, an unfavorable situation exists. When the situation is moderately favorable, a people-oriented leadership style is appropriate. Some theories suggest that situational factors, the type of task, nature of work groups, formal authority system, personality and maturity level of followers, experience and ability of followers are critical in determining the most effective leadership style. For instance, when followers are inexperienced and lack maturity and responsibility, the directive leadership style is effective. When followers are experienced and willing to take charge, supportive leadership is effective. One major situational factor is the cultural values of the followers. People who have different cultural norms and values require different leadership styles. In a highly collective society such as Japan, the Philippines, Guatemala, or Ecuador, where the social bond among members is very strong and people look out for one another, a strong patriarch at the top of the social hierarchy tends to emerge as an effective leader. On the other hand, in an extremely individualistic society such as the United States, where the social bonds are loose and individuals are expected to take care of themselves, success and achievement are admired, and a competitive and heroic figure is likely to emerge as a leader. Oh, that's why Trump is a leader. Huh? Okay. Regardless of culture and time, however, a great leader is remembered for his or her charisma, which means divinely inspired gift in Greek. Charismatic leaders have a profound effect on followers. They don't have official powers in spite of that people think of them as leaders. Through their expectational, inspirational and verbal ability, they articulate ideological goals and missions, communicate to followers with passion and inspiration, set an example in their own behaviors, and demand hard work and commitment from followers, above and beyond normal expectation. Building on charismatic leadership, Bernard Bass in 1985 proposed a theory of transformational leadership. Bass views leadership as a process of social exchange between a leader and his or her followers in exchange for desired behaviors and task accomplishment A leader provides rewards to followers. This nominal social exchange process is called transactional leadership. In contrast, a transformational leader places a higher level of trust in his or her followers and demands a much higher level of loyalty and performance beyond normal expectations. With unusual charismatic qualities and inspirational person-to-person interactions, a transformational leader transforms and motivates followers to make extra efforts to turn around ailing organizational situations into success stories. That's why we call them as transformational leader. They can change. There is a saying that change is the only constant in life. We cannot say for sure anything about the other things, but we can say that change is constant. Changes are happening around us all the time, every nanosecond. Lee Iacocca, when he took over Chrysler, most of you I think must have heard about Lee Iacocca. He took over Chrysler as CEO, Chief Executive Officer in 1979 and turned around this financially distressed company, was considered an exemplary transformational leader. He was able to convince many people, including employees and the US Congress, to support the ailing company and to make it a success. Leadership qualities such as aggressiveness, assertiveness, taking charge, and competitiveness are traditionally associated with the strong masculine characters. Nowadays that doesn't work. If you are aggressive, some people succeed. Donald Trump is so aggressive. He is an international leader. Even women executives tended to show these characteristics in the traditional corporate world. In fact, many of these women executives were promoted because they were even more competitive and assertive than their male counterparts. That's what I say. You cannot generalize anything. There are always exceptions. Successful leadership goes beyond management of plans and tasks. It envisions a future and sets a new direction for the organization. Successful leaders mobilize all possible means and human resources. They inspire all members of the organization to support the new mission and execute it with enthusiasm. When an organization faces an uncertain environment, it demands strong leadership. On the other hand, when an organization faces internal operational complexity, it demands strong management. So basically only leaders can turn around, transform, like Lee Iacocca. Managements cannot make that turnaround, cannot make that transformation. Now that all of you have good understanding of leaders, let me ask you a basic question. How many of you like to be leaders? How many of you like to be followers or subordinates, like slaves, modern slaves? I know the answer. Most of you would have said, I want to be a leader. Right. It's never late to change yourself for betterment. Make a beginning now and you will achieve your dreams real soon. Dreamers are doers. Leaders should lead by example from the front and be a good role model for the others to follow, for the others to emulate. Debates, discussion on topics like this can go on forever. However, let me call it a day. We'll meet again real soon. Rest in peace and harmony. Some of the view statements expressed are solely mine, based on my personal knowledge gained over 6 decades. Always watch these videos with closed captions, subtitles for absolute 100% comprehension. As for my sincere recommendation zillion times so far. I know I rushed through to complete the presentation within 20 minutes maximum. It's not possible nowadays. This is a time limit I had set myself to retain the viewer's attention as a norm. I know nowadays I exceed this time limit since I make honest attempts to cover the selected topic more in depth, elaborately, including so many intricate fine details, referring a wide variety of sources, in particular certainly Wikipedia quite extensively. Besides articles and books published recently. Besides, I add my own salt and pepper and masala based on my personal experience so far in my life and also intuition. Stay at home as much as possible to maintain social distancing attributed to pandemic novel COVID-19 and prolong your lifespan. Lead a healthy life, not a filthy life. God alone can put a stop to natural and unnatural events like pandemics, which may be bio war, cyber war, which may lead to apocalypse, the end of the world, and extinction of all sentient species on earth. All the best. Peace.